Hey, what's up, guys? They reprinted this, the first appearance of Sergeant Rock, right? We're going over the war comics lately. Our army at war. Now, like, the first thought in my head when I see this is, why are they doing this? Okay, there must be something with Sergeant Rock coming up. Maybe a new series, maybe a graphic novel, maybe, the filmmaking industry or whatever it's called now, the streaming industries are making more World War II stuff. You know me, man. Always the war is one of my catchphrases, apparently. Uh, but it's also their catchphrase. The further you get away from this war, there's still always something about it going on. Of course, framing, it's all about the framing, right? The framing. Academic agent, that really put a good term to them on framing, okay? The stories themselves, like I said, normally I wouldn't have bought it, but I got it because of one little thing that I was wondering was going to be in here the minute I saw this on the shelf, and it was. Okay? You can say it's delicious, it's Schadenfreude, but in a lot of ways it's more complex than that. So anyway, this is the first appearance of Sergeant Rock, right? And he's fighting the Nazis with their green uniforms and their purple armored tanks. It's listen, it's called four colors for a reason. So I understand that. But, they have Rock. Rock is the working class Pittsburgh steel worker, boxer guy from a family of like 8, kids. And they're all fighting the Nazis, which is funny too. You don't really see anyone get killed in these comics at this point. It was the Comics Code still had people kind of nervous. And this guy, the Iron Captain. Now later on, when Kanigher, who's editing this, right, I looked up. There's no credits in here. I looked up who the credits were. The Iron Major, comes. Now, the Iron Captain's a wussy. He's only a captain. Sergeant beats him up, right? Now, later on, the Iron Major, he does it. He beats the hell out of Rock, usually one-on-one. But that's when, like I said, as the book I had gone over, the comics start to grow up, because when is this? It's 59. A lot of guys reading these comics, in about 5 years or 6 years, they're going to start going over to Southeast Asia. Right? Viking Prince. Oh, that's cool. This looks like Joe Kubert, but more on that later, right? Now this story here, I guessed who the artist was, and I was right. This is Russ Heath. I knew it, man. One of the greatest artists, the American artists ever, to be frank. Right? And the story is conventional. This lone GI, he takes out like a third of the Africa Corps by himself, and the American, the DC comic particular, but maybe they did it in Sergeant Fury, shooting down planes, Messerschmitts with like machine guns and rifles. Look at the end. Sarge, how did you locate me? That storm wiped out my footsteps. Yeah, but it wasn't deep enough to cover your KO trail all across the desert. Ha! What is this? Oh, well, let's go into the comic. Right, you got the something like what Dell used to do, right? More in depth, where they would just tell you what happened in a battle. Right? You have another story here. Now this is Ross Andrew. He was actually another great artist. Right? And the story, you have this guy wants to be a pilot, but he's not good enough. His brother was good enough to be a pilot, but he wasn't, so he becomes a paratrooper. Right? But this paratrooper, man, like he's taking out dirty Krauts with his combat boots. And then his brother flying the plane gets shot down, and his brother has to parachute to survive, right? While he's a parachute soldier. And my man here, he takes out takes the Messerschmitt out with his Tommy gun. But it's not over. We got this 88 flak gun. Like, they see the two Americanos. We must kill both of them. Waste the ammo on them. And then my man, he cuts the main chute, comes down like a dive bomber, and then puts the auxiliary chute on, and boom. That's how we won the war. So now this story, another Easy Company story. Bert and Eddie, I don't know who these guys are. Obviously, later on, you get the Easy Company, you get the soldiers with the nicknames, Ice Cream Soldier, Little Short Shot with the feathers on his helmet. But this is when they're still forming. I mean, technically, Sarge, they didn't call him Sergeant Rock. They called him The Rock. Right? So yeah, typical story. The brave Americans are totally outnumbered by the Germans, of course, and these plucky rebels are gonna just these Nazis who also can't fight and who have overwhelming numbers. They get taken out. I was surprised by this, and I'll tell you why. Right? I thought we had you easy company Americanas in the pocket. You did, Buster, but now the pocket's got a hole in it. Yeah, right? My man's got a cigarette already. So, this was Joe Kubert, man. I did not recognize his art. I thought this was one of the EC dudes, or he's trying to draw like one of the EC dudes. This is before he gets his distinctive style. So anyway, I thought that's on the creative aspect. I wanted to go over it as a comics fan, and they had Tootsie Roll. Look at that, they had vanilla Tootsie Rolls. Interesting. Of course, I love seeing the advertisements, right? All the make money, get prizes, kind of huckster things they had, right? Lift weights, the cool, like machine gun, BB guns, and jujitsu, right? You too can be tough, ha! Right? All the cool stuff. So cool that they actually, in our CYA age, right? They had to make sure the advertising featuring this comic were reprinted. Okay, these things don't exist now, right? They're not available today. It was a healthier country when this was available, right? But looking at these things, right? Looking at this time, looking at the values, right? And I'm not one of those guys. Oh, the old days, the good old days. I know what those old days were about, okay? But there's the old days and there's now, okay? So that's the flip side to that. Do you want spending money? Right? Sell these popular patriotic and religious mottos, and it's very interesting, right, to see that. Patriotism, of course. Now you should not be patriotic for this place we live in, and religion is dead. At least this Christian religion. Okay, to be frank. Okay? I just thought it was fascinating that you could say, well, this is the world that these men fought for, and essentially it was. Okay, these men didn't fight for that. A lot of people want to put what men fought for as something greater. That's the framing. Okay, you got drafted back then. You're an American. They send you over somewhere. You're gonna fight. Okay, but it was interesting to see that when I saw this comic, I said, I wonder if they're gonna have what they have in all these other reprints. And I didn't see it at first, but then you snuck it in here. The comic reprinted here was produced in a time when race played a larger role in society and popular culture, okay? Because there's no racial things going on today, right? No one's being demonized today in the mainstream, are they? Consciously and unconsciously. Oh, that gives you a lot of elbow room to work with, don't it? It's presented here without alteration for historical reference. I mean, well, history. I do believe in historicism. I believe in history is a living, breathing thing. Okay, it's always in play. Okay, conservatives will tell you it's not. The left and the capitalists, do you know that? Okay, who's smarter? Right? But that's not the point. It was ironic that these men, it's still not good enough. But I was looking for where was it racist? They weren't fighting the Japs. They were beating up and killing and humiliating my mother's people. Okay. I looked here and I figured it must be this. Okay, what's your BQ? What's your brotherhood quotient? Remember Brotherhood Week? I don't. They don't want it now for sure. But you had like this like kind of framing here, like, well, who do you like and dislike, or what are you lukewarm, right? Or you get a very clever mix of long hair music. What kind of long hair music did you have in '59? Okay? And you have the other questions here. Do you believe that all men are created equal? Well, other than that sexist statement, no, I don't. What does that mean? Do you think all young people should have the same chance for education, sports, and jobs? Yes, I do. Oh, when a new child comes to your neighborhood, you go out of your way to make him feel at home. It depends. Okay, so I got a yes, a no, and it depends. Right? How to make it on the test. All right. In terms of what we don't like, obviously, of this list here, where you see all these things, it's obvious, right? I don't like Baptists. Okay. If you scored yes on all of these things, you're okay. Oh, thanks. If you didn't, you better start thinking about it. Oh, it's you. Now it's funny, right? This is published as public service in cooperation with the National Social. Whoa, what? Welfare Assembly. Okay, now all the joking aside, because you only a joke is only ever a half joke, isn't it? The reasonable thing here that you see in some regards, this is sort of what these men fought for. Okay, not what they wanted to fight for, but what they fought for. Well, that seems like a reasonable thing. Well, this is how you now have a country that these men wouldn't recognize, that these men are, the descendants are more and more hated because you still have whatever that R word means. Patriotism is not only doesn't exist. It would be stupid and antithetical to have any. And of course, religion. I mean, religion is dead. And a lot of this stuff is already in the 19th century. But the point I'm making, to not be so intellectual, is that even this is not enough, right, to destroy the greatest evil that ever existed. Right? It's still not enough. It's never enough. Okay? I thought I would feel some Schadenfreude from this. Okay, but I didn't. I did not actually. So it's just the cold onward flow of history. If you become weak, if you do not have your natural defenses in place, you will be replaced. End of story. And if you want to fight, and join the army. Always the war.